Okay.
And then we'll go live on X and YouTube. I tend to direct people towards the X link because that's where like the best banter is generally.
Yeah,
So,
I definitely need to start streaming on X way more. I haven't really been.
yeah, I mean, if you're doing it on the cord, you might as well do it on X as well. Unless, are you kind of positioning it as a subscriber only perk?
Kind of. Like what I do is that on my specific stream, I will have on the right hand side the chat. I just screen share the Discord chat because it's super active. I only let subscribers type in that, so that could be the incentive for subs, is to be able to comment on those streams. But I should be reaching out to a bigger audience. So
I mean, at bare minimum, you should record those streams that you do in the cord and then like clip them up. There's so many AI tools that make it very easy to clip up streams, and they'll give you, okay, like after we finish the stream today, I'll click a button in StreamYard and it will give me, within 20 minutes, it will give me 10 different clips that are between 20 and 90 seconds long that I can post on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, whatever it may be.
What is that site again that you just said, so I can write down?
That's what we're on right now, StreamYard.
StreamYard, gotcha.
I don't know if they do multicast to Discord. They definitely do multicast to Twitter and YouTube. You can screw with some configuration things to do it to Instagram Live as well, but it gets a little more complicated. But Twitter, YouTube are super simple. And the other beautiful thing about it is you can get the clips right after the fact. Okay, I just put the link to the stream in our group text. So go put that on, retweet that, and put it in your
Yeah,
cord.
how do I retweet that? Because it's not a specific post. It just says that you're live on Dub Club. But I have the link that I'm going to share right now to my Discord.
I actually don't know. Twitter's being weird this morning with the stream link. Let me see. Let me see if I can. Maybe it's just because I was so Johnny on the spot. Maybe they're changing it. But yeah, it typically is when you go live, it like generates a tweet. Very weird. Let me play around with this. This is very compelling stream content, by the way.
No, you're all good. We're just getting started, so.
No luck.
All right, I'm posting it to Discord right now, but you get a few people in there, and then I'll post it on Twitter once I see a that posted as well. But let me just say hi in the Twitter chat.
Love it. I'm going to post this on our... So weird. Maybe I need to post
Yeah,
it?
I mean, X has been really glitching out on me the last couple days, so I'm not surprised at all.
Seriously.
Well, I can just post the link underneath, and let's. Yep, that works. So
I think I just did something. I think I just did something positive. Yeah, I hit it.
You might give me 1 minute here.
Yeah, you're all good.
Do it one more time.
You guys, just give me 1 minute. I gotta be right back.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Take your time.
Yep,
Okay.
I see it right now. I'm gonna quote tweet it right now.
Perfect. I'm gonna post it in the Dub Club Discord. And I'm going to attack in the comments with your guys' promo links. So bear with me on that. Welcome, listeners. Thank you for joining us early on a lovely spring-like Wednesday morning, at least where I'm calling in from. We've got a immaculate, I believe, 14-game NBA slate to cover.
That is correct.
So I hope you brought your notebooks because there is quite a lot of action to attack before we head to the All-Star break. How do you think about the day before the All-Star game? Does anything change in your process knowing that we're not going to have games for a while and that there's such a big slate and that some people are probably, resting or recalibrating rosters after the deadline?
Well, there's two things that really stand out to me. The first one is, besides teams like the Jazz and the Pacers that are actively trying to lose games, unless you're playing on a back-to-back, this is generally the most players will play the whole season because you do have that week coming up, especially if you're not an All-Star. Now, if you are an All-Star, you really don't get any time off because you got to go down and do all the All-Star festivities. But you're going to see full rotations today, especially for a lot of the games that we talk about. And this will be the last game for a lot of players who have been resting or hurt that they will be out. I think a great example of this is in Toronto with Jakob Poeltl. Poeltl's been out for about a couple months now, but his projection on when he's supposed to come back is the All-Star game. So this could be the last chance for some players on the Raptors to get decent minutes and play well before Jakob comes back after the All-Star game. So there's a few things like that. It's also important to monitor like which teams played on Tuesday compared to what teams are playing tomorrow on Thursday, whether on the first leg or the second leg or back to back, because that could impact minutes a ton as well.
Alex, I muted you for half a second as the train was coming by. Anything that you kind of like changes in your process right before we head into the All-Star break?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, we're going into the All-Star break. It's not too crazy because teams know they have rest coming up. So in general, there's not that much management to do. Only, I think, 3 teams run back-to-back tomorrow. So, I mean, it shouldn't be anything too crazy. I guess I would say post All-Star break is probably like the first week after. You might see a lot of strange minutes or teams that, let's say, plan on playing veterans until All-Star break and then don't play them after. That can happen. So I'd say the landscape probably changes the most right after the All-Star break ends. That's what I would say.
But let the kids
especially
play
because
today.
A lot of teams. Oh, sorry, Lewis. Especially because a lot of teams are going to decide, all right, we can't compete now, so we're going to start tanking, and we're not going to play certain players anymore. They usually decide that after the All-Star break is when they know, like, okay, the trade deadline is passed. We can't do any more contract extensions. All-Star break is over. Now we're like, all right, Lauri Markkanen, I appreciate you averaging 28 points per game for us this year. You ain't playing a fourth quarter the rest of the year.
I think my Wi-Fi just cut out. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you all right, Lewis. You're good.
Okay, brilliant. Well, we got some good warm-up. Let me hype you guys up properly now, and let's hop right into the slate. We have 2, for my money, of the sharpest, most intellectually rigorous cappers on the Dub Club platform, both of whom specialize in the NBA, joining us on this glorious 14-game Wednesday NBA slate. Let me hype up both independently before we get into the games themselves. Up first, let's talk about WizBets, sporting a nifty 35-15 record in February month to date, plus 18 units, and stacking 50 units of profit in the NBA season thus far with a 301 and 214 record. The man known as WizBets, very generously offering a 60% off promo to celebrate the stream. Wiz, say hello to the listeners at home, please.
Hey, everybody. I'm Logan, otherwise known as WizBets. While I am covering NBA right now, I specialize in MLB, NFL, PGA, and UFC. Started capping about a couple years ago now. Started working with Dub Club, coming up on my 1-year anniversary, coming up soon. It's been the dream, man. There is no better job in the world than this. So I appreciate Lewis having me on today.
The pleasure is all ours. Logan, you're going super viral on X with these articles, so I want to talk about like what goes into the research for those. I'm sure we'll just cover it naturally as we get into the slate. And let's also welcome from the DFS dojo Le Vertical, another NBA prop specialist. Forgive him if there's a little train noise in the background. He's calling in from the city of big shoulders, Chicago, Illinois. Also offering a very generous 60% off deal for new subscribers in celebration of the stream. 141 units of profit in the full year 2025, 12.5 units of profit in January 2026, and very much focused on attacking the prop game. And Levert is the NBA specialist of the Dojo crew. Thank you very much for joining us. Say hello to the listeners at home.
How you guys doing? Thanks, Lewis, for having me. Just excited to talk about the slate, and not many opportunities I get to show my face and talk. Hopefully, somebody.
Outstanding. Now, before we get going, I would be remiss to not thank our friends over at Chalkboard for sponsoring the stream. New Chalkboard users get 100% deposit match for first deposit plus with code DUBCLUB. Obviously, we're going to have a ton of different props and sides we like in this stream. Pairing it up with the free square is a great way to juice the payout. As you guys know, you got to attack every app under the sun if you're trying to stack long-term units, and taking advantage of promos is a huge piece of that puzzle. So thank you very much to the friends of Chalkboard. And now let's get straight into it. There is a ton to cover. So we're just going to go game by game and exchange takes in rapid fire. Let's get started. First game of the slate tips off at 6 p.m. Central Time. The Washington Wizards head to Cleveland. Cleveland is a 17.5-point favorite, so we're not expecting a close game. But why don't you get started, Wiz? I think we just lost Levert. What do you like in this Wizards-Cavs game?
First of all, I am excited for James Harden's debut in Cleveland. That's going to be extremely exciting. If you haven't seen, I highly recommend going to the Cavs Twitter and seeing the giveaway that they're doing for Harden. They have popsicle sticks with beards that everyone's going to be wearing during the game. If you want to go down narrative street from that regard, I do like James Harden's assists sitting at about 7.5. It's a little bit juiced on some books, but his potentials have been phenomenal in his first couple games as a Cleveland Cavalier. 49 and 62 passes, 18 potentials last game on 62 against the Denver Nuggets. He's been really, really good with Jared Allen in the pick and roll. And if you guys watched the Washington Wizards, you do know that their paint defense is either awful or non-existent. In the last two games with James Harden, Allen has 29 points and 22 points, averaging nearly 25 points per game, which is what we've really never seen from Jared Allen. So that combination between Harden and Allen, I really like. But the issue, whenever you play the Washington Wizards, is the game could be over by the first quarter. So it's tough to take full game props for every starter for the Cavs, especially how it's a phenomenal matchup for everybody. So if you did want to target somebody that you know is going to play in some blowout minutes, like a Jalen Tyson or a Keon Ellis, those guys are fine either from the assist angle or beyond the arc. Because the Wizards are going to have a few people out today. I know Cam Whitmore is dealing with an injury. The two biggest pieces on the offensive side, in my opinion, Keyshawn George and Bilal Coulibaly, are both questionable. I would lean that they're both out today, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's one more inactive for Washington. So it's a tough game to cap from the perspective of you don't know if a blowout's going to happen, which is going to be the theme today. But definitely excited to see Harden debut in Cleveland.
Very cool. I like the concept of kind of spotlighting the folks that we think are going to get minutes, even if there's a blowout. How do you kind of think about capping a situation with a superstar that is so new into his tenure with a new team? Do you tend to stay away from a situation like that? Obviously, there's a ton of stars switching teams in the past week or so in the National Basketball Association. I know this is a unique game because we're expecting a blowout, so that's kind of the predominant narrative we're thinking about. But generally speaking, how long does it take for you to get comfortable with a superstar in a new spot? Or do you try to attack it right away?
I mean, for me, I'm a little pessimistic in general with trade acquisitions. I don't like to assume good things coming out of the early days. And it kind of brings me in. It's like, yeah, very different Cleveland team. We've only seen them play twice. And I would say that it's going to be kind of difficult to predict Harden's game to game with them. I don't think his role is as good as it was in LA, which I think is unsurprising. And honestly, 18-point spread. I agree with Wiz that these Wizards guys are probably out. I would say that side is unbettable right now. I don't know. It looks like they're pretty hedged for the news. So given that, I mean, not much to do there. I guess if the stars are in, could see an early cutoff in minutes, but it's not really necessary in an 18-point spread. So we'll see. I just assume it's a normal like situation for them, and they're likely to get blown out. So we're probably not going to see them that much in the fourth. My only like lead on this game, I guess, is Harden under points, 22.5. Mostly just, I mean, I this is me purely looking at the game for the first time, so I haven't really fleshed anything out. But yeah, I mean, widespread, a guy that is very often defaulted to teammates, has a chance to set them up off the trade, has not been aggressive with them. So definitely something to note. And yeah, I mean, game should be a wash. And I just don't really see the Cavs playing the fourth quarter. So yeah, it kind of brings me to like Donnie can be a juggernaut in these type of games. He can kill you in three quarters. So I'm not as interested. He's a little more 50-50 to me. I think Harden is the most likely guy to take a step back. So it's probably my one angle, but not really. Haven't really decided on that yet.
First night in the new crib, you want to kind of defer to your teammates a little bit. I like that angle. And I like that we're just getting the off the dome takes as you're looking at the board live with us. Any final thoughts, Logan, from you, or should we head over to Charlotte for Hawks Hornets?
I do want to mention two things, one on the Wizards and one on the Cavs side. The only fear with taking a Harden under points is that you need to be confident Bilal Coulibaly is starting and playing. He is one of the best on-ball defenders in the NBA, and he's been doing a really good job at locking up pull-up shooters, something like James Harden would do, mostly scoring either in isolation or the pick and roll. If he is out, the Wizards don't really have anybody to contain Harden, and he could score that 21 points in the first half. Now, I like the angle because, again, deferring to your teammates, I think Jared Allen's been a real beneficiary of that. It was on my leans list, Harden under. The only reason I leaned over assist was just because of that as well, because I don't think Coulibaly's playing. The second thing would be there's only one player I really see on the Wizards that will play a ton of minutes regardless of a blowout, and that's Trey Johnson. Before his injury against the Milwaukee Bucks, he had 15-plus points, 4 straight games, 26 against Charlotte. And without Middleton and CJ McCollum, he is the person that benefits the most on that Wizards team. Lottery pick this year, will be a key piece in that rotation for years to come unless they trade him for another young player. The only issue with him is I'm not exactly sure how many minutes he's going to be playing after being out about 1 to 2 weeks. But even if it's 25 minutes, a 14.5 points line for him is phenomenal.
Love it. Look at all this analysis we got in game one. We're not going to make it through the slate. We may be on here for 5 hours. Let's go to Charlotte. Hawks Hornets. Vegas expecting a much more competitive game. Hornets are laying 5.5 at home. Get us started, Alex. You got any leans or plays you like, or you want to kick it over to Logan, who I know has devoured the board already?
I guess I'll just say one thing that, I mean, it seems to be that the suspensions are coming eventually today. So, and the books are definitely, I mean, this is set for Grant Williams' lines that are like starter lines essentially. So yeah, Miles Bridges is going to be out today. But I don't think, obviously the books are completely fact. Like just like Miles isn't even lined. So definitely do not expect Miles to play. And that goes for the Detroit guys too. But again, they're also not lined. Last year, they actually messed this up. I remember slamming a lot of Pistons overs when there was a guaranteed Stewart suspension. They have definitely learned from that. So that is not a thing this year, at least today. I did play some of Star Wars yesterday, actually, but those are pretty bumped up. But yeah, anyway, on the Charlotte side, again, pretty adjusted lines. They should
Let's
run.
pause there real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah,
So the Hornets Pistons brawl is
yeah.
going to
Oh,
result
yeah.
in big suspension. Something about the Pistons, they just like fighting. Back to the Ron Artest days. So what you're saying is, in a prior era where the books maybe weren't as sharp, they wouldn't bump up
Yeah.
the backups lines who are now going to be starting because the frontline guys are not
So,
going to
yeah,
be playing. Hasn't been publicly announced yet, but everybody's expecting that. But maybe people are sharp. But that's a very interesting angle that I had not even thought about.
Kalkbrenner and Grant should both line to starting. So I mean, there's no. I guess Kalkbrenner could be a little low. I don't know if this is slightly hedged, but I mean, I don't see a world where Musa plays, and it looks like, I mean, these are not his normal lines. They're not even close. So definitely, they're definitely expecting it. But yeah, I like, because of that, and because everything's set kind of higher. I mean, I struggle to have stuff like on the. I know like probably some of these Hornets were low last night. Like I bet they weren't fully baked, but into this morning, I mean, it doesn't look like there's anything that stands out to me. And then on the Hawks side, a lot of Q tags. I mean, hard to say if they're going to play, so I can't really bet on it at this moment. Just because there's not over edges right now until I see you shoot around and the reports throughout the day.
Love it. Logan, anything you like in this game?
Well, beforehand, I just wanted to say there's 357 people in here. Guys, there is a chat function in Twitter. If you guys ask questions in the chat, I am keeping an eye on that right now. If you're on a specific game and you want me to talk, or me, DFS Jojo or Lewis talk about anything, use that chat function in Twitter. That is the best way to engage with us.
I will not answer anything related to player props. Let me clear that up right now. If you want to talk about MLB futures, I'll engage.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the brawl is going to make a bigger impact in both games that we'll talk about between the Pistons and the Hornets. So there was a report that came out from Chris Haynes that Jalen Duren will be able to participate in the All-Star game if it is a multi-game suspension, which is what I'm projecting for pretty much all four key players in that fight, which that is being Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, Miles Bridges, and Musa Diabate. What we have seen this year when Miles Bridges is off the court is that LaMelo will take every shot when he is on there. Bridges is one of the few people that takes shots away from him. So LaMelo today against an Atlanta Hawks team who has been pretty awful from the three-point line is slightly interesting in both a points and a PA perspective. The Hawks have been one of the worst pull-up defenses lately. They're not only that, but they're playing at an extremely high pace. And what we have seen with the Hornets is that they generally match the pace of their opponent. And one of the fastest paced players in the NBA, if you watched them back in high school, LaMelo does not care about the shot clock. He will take a shot within 5-6 seconds of the shot clock if he thinks that he's open. And I really think that this could be one of those games today where LaMelo just goes crazy. However, the books have adjusted a little bit. He was getting 18.5, 19.5 points lines. Now he's sitting at 22.5. I have slight interest in his PA at 30.5 in this game. But that's about it on the Hornets side. I like Kalkbrenner, but I really think Grant Williams is going to be the one that benefits most from Musa being out, because we did see Grant Williams play some 5 in the previous game against the Detroit Pistons. And then on the Hawks side, I'm officially on Jalen Johnson over points. I loved what I've seen from him lately. Finally getting back to an increased scoring role. Scored really well against Musa Diabate the previous game, scoring 31 points in 40 minutes, which Musa is one of the most underrated defenders in the NBA, in my opinion. But with him gone, I just don't see a world that the Hornets can contain Johnson. They can contain his playmaking by their scheme of denying passes to beyond the arc. But I think they're going to play straight up on Johnson, and he might feast for 30, 35 points tonight.
Love it. Interesting analysis both on the role player and the star side of things. Let's head to the Wiz Bets Bowl. The Milwaukee Bets and the Orlando Magic. Bucks sitting at 21-30 on the season. Magic 28-24. I'm seeing this as a 10.5 point favorite for the home squad. Total sitting at 220.5, which is relatively low in today's NBA. Logan, you were cooking. You want to keep going in the Logan Bowl? Anything you like in this one?
Yeah, so if anybody doesn't know, I lived in Orlando for about 6-7 years, but I'm originated out of Milwaukee. So I always loved going to these Orlando Milwaukee games.
They're
I'm
actually
glad
playing for
that
a
I'm
trophy of your face, I believe. Can you
yes,
confirm or
that is
deny that?
exactly what they're playing for. If
So
I remember
you have
correctly.
to go like 5-0 on props in this game. Just FYI.
It's gonna be tough because I think Milwaukee's just gonna get destroyed. Milwaukee's been just very hot and cold without Antetokounmpo. They looked really bad against the Magic, and I thought the Magic missed some shots the previous game because this is a situation where they have played back-to-back games against each other because they face each other on Monday, which is usually situations I try to avoid because the books get really, really sharp in those games. Hence why playoff betting is really, really difficult in the NBA. Lewis, I'm sure you know in MLB, playoff betting is near impossible with how sharp the lines get because the same team plays against each other several times.
I
Same
feel
thing
like we're
happens.
seeing more of that in the NBA this year. Am I imagining that, or are
I
we
hate it.
seeing more like the Bulls played the Heat like 5 games in a row? I'm like, what
That
was
was because
happening there?
it was only supposed to be twice, but it happened 3 times because there was the game
rain
was
out, of
delayed.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, but
First ever rain out I can remember for an indoor sporting event.
Stupid hockey. But the biggest reason why is travel. Like now Milwaukee
They're
doesn't
trying
have
to
to
cut
travel
down on
down to
traffic.
Orlando twice this year. They only got to do it once. So that's why we're seeing it so often. I personally hate it from a capping perspective.
Interesting, because you just said Vegas gets sharp. They see the matchups really well. Not as much edge to be had. We just want to make sure the NBA players don't have to travel. I mean, they have such.
Gotta keep the NBA players happy. You know, they're working so hard for us. You know,
gotta keep them fresh.
But a big reason why I don't like betting these games as well, which I have a few things that I like this game still, but it's like, example, I really like Kevin Porter Jr. today. I liked his over 17.5 when it opened. I still like his like 24.5 PR. But a lot of people will look at that game and they'll go, well, he just went over 2 days ago, so he has to go over again. And everyone knows that's not necessarily how the NBA works. Most teams adjust to their schemes. However, I got to give a shout out to Jamal Mosley because, man, does he hate adjusting his defensive scheme because he runs the same thing out there every day, which is, I will let you drive. You will be guarded by one person, but you're not passing it out. I will give you single coverage every single time. I don't care if your name is Thanasis Antetokounmpo or Giannis Antetokounmpo. You're seeing one body in the paint. And that allows for people who drive and go in isolation to have dominant games against the Orlando Magic, which you've seen all year. And we saw it from Kevin Porter Jr. against the Orlando Magic previously, where he took a near season high 19 field goal attempts, scoring 28 points. Nobody else for the Bucks was touching the ball. I think Kevin Porter Jr. broke a dribbles record that game. At least it felt like it. So I really like him in that game. And then I want to answer the GOATS question. Do y'all like Ryan Rollins over 17.5 points? My answer is it's fine. The issue is Kevin Porter Jr. KPJ is playing about 35, 40 minutes now coming off an injury. And I love Ryan Rollins when KPJ is not on the court because then he's actually ball handling and creating pick and roll opportunities. And Ryan Rollins can do his signature step back pull-ups. The issue is that when Kevin Porter Jr. is on the court, Rollins is relegated to sitting in the corner, picking his nose, and hoping KPJ decides to pass him the ball, which usually won't happen. And now that we got the dribble god Cam Thomas on the team, it makes it even more unlikely that Rollins will see significant usage. So, to be honest, the GOAT, I prefer KPJ slightly more from a points perspective than Ryan Rollins, but I get where you're coming from.
The GOAT, very exhaustive response there. I want to take a moment to acknowledge how good Logan's pronunciation has been thus far in the stream with some very challenging names. That deserves some flowers. And then Locked In Sports, I'd love to hear from you if we like Ryan Rollins over 17.5 points. I'm hearing you're going 0-7 every day, basically. So if you are like Rollins, we will definitely take the under. Thank you for getting active in the chat. Alex, anything that you like in this game in the Logan Bowl?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, so definitely a tougher game to bet on. I mean, again, it's a rematch. But books were definitely a little slow on the KPJ thing. Like, yeah, Magic do play single coverage. Pick and roll handlers definitely can have big games. I mean, Rollins technically constitutes as that, but again, a little more in flux to KPJ starting with him, so it's hard to say. Yeah, KPJ definitely has the best matchup in my eyes. Little adjusted for me, so I'm probably not going to fire on anything as of now with the current lines, but definitely like the openers are probably decent. Not confident in Cam Thomas still. Definitely terrible roll the first game. He's not a great player, in all honesty. He can score, but definitely is a negative on the court most of the time. So you got to wonder at one point, at least the benefit probably is when they stop caring about winning. That's probably when Cam Thomas starts to look good out there. But in the meantime, I mean, they're still playing to win. They're expecting Giannis back. So he's going to have to earn those minutes. So definitely would be pretty cautious just throwing Cam Thomas overs on the low lines. Will not be me today. Let's just say that. I don't know if I'm playing any unders because it's definitely a little more adjusted than the first game. But yeah, not a great fan of him. And then I guess the one lean I have, I mean, I don't really know how I want to play this because the lines are pretty ugly for it, but Kuzma had a really big roll drop off last game. They were running him pick and roll sets and getting him really active in the previous games, and then kind of just completely died off with everyone healthy last game. So I'm a little concerned that Kuzma is just kind of relegated back to the role he used to have, which is more of like a 2.0 assist type of guy, especially in this matchup. So I guess lean on Kuzma under assists. That's probably, but again, a little adjusted there, so I'm not loving anything specifically. 7.5 RA, I guess, could be okay, but assist is probably the more specific edge. But yeah, probably not my favorite game this slate. I can't imagine myself playing much in it. Yeah, not that much there for me. I guess I have a lean under on AJ Green under as well, or a lean on AJ Green under as well, just because the matchup in theory is really bad for him, but he's been showing up in odd spots, so not a confident one. But again, I'll say lean on AJ Green under 10.5 and 2.5 threes at plus money.
Love it. Let's stay out east. From the Logan Bowl to the Vooch Bowl. You guys have both been active in the Vooch markets recently.
Mm-hmm.
It's a redemption revenge game for the team that shipped him out of the town. The Bulls, in their tankathon, head to TD Garden. They're getting 13.5 points as dogs. Holy cow, they're bad. What do you guys think on the prop side? Are we going back to the well with Vooch? Alex, I'll start with you. I know you're 1-1 on the Vooch fades thus far. Are we playing with fire, third time in the well, or you like something else in this matchup?
So I am 1-1 on the Vooch situation here. But with Keita questionable, I mean, I don't know how someone could bet on this in this exact moment and have any edge, considering the fact that the line is perfectly set for Keita being 50% in. So probably nothing right now. I mean, we'll see what happens I don't think the revenge here is a big factor. I mean, the Celtics are playing to win. I mean, my rule with playing narratives is like if you can't justify it in that type of manner, then I mean, I think it sometimes affects it, but it's not something you could just we're just playing his old team. He's gonna have a great game. But yeah, I mean, if K's out, he's gonna start probably. I'm not actually sure he starts. By the way, considering Kato's role in the team is very different than Vooch, I think we could see Amari Williams start. That would definitely be my random thing. But it could be Vooch. I mean, it's definitely, I would say likely Vooch. Definitely no guarantee. Because again, Amari is way more similar to Kato. Amari has when there was foul trouble in the recent game, Amari did come in. When they wanted defense, it wasn't Vooch for the entire time. So could see Amari. That would probably be my one hold of caution. So yeah, for now, until Cannon news, I'm staying away from Vooch. I guess in the Bulls situation, a lot of guards there. I think that
that's the understatement of the stream thus far. They have 12 guards, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of the Boston matchup, it doesn't really benefit any of them specifically. Simon's against his old team, but again, not too much of a factor for me. I would say I probably am looking to maybe get off Colin Sexton's minutes have been really good lately. I'm not really sure that holds. I think that every game is very, very, very different for the Bulls. So, yeah, I mean, maybe Dillingham gets some extra run here. I need like a bit to kind of like comb through this because I haven't really thought much about it. But I guess, yeah, like probably a little lower on Sexton than he's been in lately.
Logan, what do you like in this game?
Well, I wanted to ask you, Lewis, did the Bulls are they offering a 10-day contract? Because they do need more guards.
Actually, 5'9". They're actually looking for 5'9" guards.
I mean, Yuki's on the roster.
Pounds
Clearly, height doesn't matter for the Bulls.
Yeah, I actually played Monday night. It was probably the worst performance I've ever had in a pickup game of hoops. So with the Bulls in their current tanking like focus, I'd probably be a good fit over there to plug in as kind of a second or third guy off the bench.
You get the job done, that's for sure.
I'd help them lose without a doubt. I think I was 1-6 in my 7 games on Monday night, so I would certainly be value add from a tanking perspective.
But I mean, on that regard, so we're making a joke about because there's just not many setters on the Bulls right now. There's currently starting Yabusele at times at the 5, which he was so good he got practically cut by the Knicks, and he wasn't getting any minutes for them. So that's part of the reason why I think Vucevic could have a decent outing today.
Just nobody guarding him.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but what I've loved from Vucevic, from a rebounding perspective in the last couple games, is that his offensive rebounding has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
He only got 1 versus the Knicks because they're one of the best rebounding teams in the NBA. But against the Heat, he got 6 offensive rebounds. Lewis, when's the last time you saw Vucevic attack the offensive glass like that? Never.
He's playing angry now, I guess. He's ready to win a title.
Well, it's also because of how the Celtics scheme is offensively, giving Vucevic opportunities to come from the 3-point line to getting offensive rebounds. And I think that could happen a lot today for him. But because there's really no rim protection on the Bulls right now, if Jalen Smith is out, if Vucevic stretches the floor, beautiful for Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's been an MVP candidate this year, whether people want to agree or not. If there is no paint protection by Chicago, if the floor is spread out, which they can do now if they play Vucevic over Keita, that could just mean open season for Jaylen Brown inside the arc. I really like his over 29.5 points this game for the Celtics. And then really quickly to give the Bulls some love, even though they don't deserve it.
That's the understatement. Okay, you just got beat for the understatement of the stream, Alex.
Monitor Rob Dillingham. I'm not sure how many minutes he's going to play, but he did play 22 in back-to-back games, which I didn't think the Bulls had an opportunity for Dillingham to get serious run. But in 22 minutes back-to-back games, he's averaging about 9-10 field goal attempts, getting on the glass. He's averaging 8 potential assists. Like, the volume is there at 13.5 PRA for Dillingham, regardless of a blowout situation, which is in this time of the NBA season, as much as we love betting on Shea, Jokic, and Brown, it's going to be the Rob Dillinghams of the world that make you money if you know when to target them.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. We're going deep in the well for the Bulls-Celtics game. We got Kentown. We got Bet Sharper in the comments. This is like an all-star comment crew. Give us some inspo if you guys want to talk about
cut it real fast. So
yeah, Alex, please.
One, definitely, Dillingham's probably the one over I was looking at this game. Definitely think that the rates that are in form could be a little wrong considering what he's been doing. So I'm considering that type of stuff. It's not a fun one to take though, because again, very inefficient player. So you're kind of at the mercy of that. Maybe better for all lines than it is baselines. That's probably how I'd put it. I probably prefer going lighter on a 10+ than playing his 7.5. And then another note, Okoro just got downgraded to questionable, which probably means let's just say likely out, 60%, whatever. We should put Patrick Williams in the starting lineup, and then that'll also, I want to say, bring Leonard Miller in to the rotation. I don't think they'll go 8. There's no reason for that. So I would expect Leonard to play, which hurts usage. That's definitely a downgrade to usage overall. Leonard definitely, compared to Okoro, is a little higher. Not a huge change. Secures Patrick Williams or Patrick Smith. I would say it slightly helps the guards. Okoro's been playing over 30 minutes a game, so yeah, that would upgrade Dilly. That would change the landscape a little bit, but not too crazy.
How hilarious is it that Patrick Williams has survived all this carnage?
You gave
Like
him
it-
basically $50 million to.
Yeah, man. AK, the front office of the Bulls, they really deserve a raise, don't they? And the coach.
Yeah.
How's Billy Donovan? He's like the longest tenured coach in the NBA.
Well, he
won a
hasn't had
thing.
much to work with, man.
At
he's
a
got
certain point, it's like, what are we doing here, guys?
But Lewis, at least you got some first-round picks for Vucevic and Kobe White.
I think we have all 32 second-round picks in next year's draft, actually, which is pretty cool. Or 30. I don't
That's
even know how
awesome.
many.
Good for you guys.
Yeah, that's how championship teams are built. Okay, let's keep moving before we talk about the Bulls for another hour. Knicks, Sixers. One of the more tightly contested spreads thus far. Sixers are 2.5-point favorites at home. Both teams are having nice seasons heading into the break. What do you want to sink your teeth into? Let's start with you, Alex. I put you on the spot. I didn't realize that.
No,
I didn't mean
good.
to. We can kick it to Logan first.
Yeah, why don't you get to Logan first?
Logan, what do you like in this one?
All right. Well, right away, Knicks are coming off a back-to-back. I had like a little ladder that I did that included Knicks money line last night. So watching them lose to the tanking Pacers in Madison Square Garden just hurt my soul. So I hope
the Pacers got their number, man.
The Pacers got anybody that's good. The Pacers got their number. But if they face the Jazz or the Nets, you know that they're going to outtake them. But if you think about it from a Knicks perspective, you're hoping that they come out and they play, tough. Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby are both questionable after missing the last game. I lean that they sat last game expecting them to win to play this game against the 76ers. At least that's my hope. So right away, I know how awful the Sixers are on the glass. So if Mitchell Robinson plays, his 8.5 rebounds, I absolutely adore. If you look at the 76ers this season, they're giving up the 6th most offensive rebounds in the NBA. And anytime I go up against a bad offensive rebounding team, I want the best offensive rebounder in arguably the history of the NBA in Mitchell Robinson. He is that dominant at times. I really like him for the Knicks. And then from the 76ers, I mean, how do you not take Joel Embiid at this point? 38 points last game against the New York Knicks. He talks about how much he not only does he love playing New York, but he complains at Philly fans for letting Knicks fans get into the building in these games. So if the energy is good in Philly today, and there's a lot of 76ers fans, I know Alex said narratives aren't the end all be all, and they definitely aren't. You shouldn't be going based off of only narratives. But I could definitely see the vibe in that Philly stadium helping Joel have a dominant game yet again.
Love it. We bought you some time, Alex. Anything that you've caught your eye on the slate in this game?
Yeah, so expecting OG to play. I sat yesterday. Felt like he was possibly going to play. And definitely when someone sits the front end, it gives them a good chance to play in the back end. So I think OG plays. Overtime back-to-back is always definitely a factor for betting. I would say be very cautious on the Knicks side. They're at home, they're actually at Philly. They traveled. Okay, so never mind. I misread that. But yeah, even worse than
Philly's basically a suburb of New York.
Yeah, it's not a far travel, but again, back-to-back off the overtime. Not surprised to see the Knicks line's a lot lower. I probably would have taken a little different angle on the Sixers side if this wasn't a back-to-back. For the Knicks, not as high on Joel. I just think that the Knicks actually have decent tools to throw at him. And I'm surprised this line is this high at 28.5. But again, OT back-to-back scares me. I'm worried about the Knicks defense, but considering the fact they're probably getting Mitch and OG back, definitely aids them today. Yeah, I mean, not that much from beyond. Like normally Brunson would be a guy who would take an over on this matchup, facing the Embiid drop coverage and then Drummond drop coverage on both sides. So good for Brunson. He typically is really good in those good handler matchups. But again, I'm pretty terrified of taking the Knicks. I want to see Brunson play 42 minutes yesterday. So yeah, not a great game for me. I won't lie.
That's allowed. We got 14 games. We don't have to touch every single one.
Probably
important reminder for the listeners at home.
I'm interested to see if Barlow or Grimes play. Would thin them out pretty hard, and I would say Oubre is probably the guy that benefits the most from that. they can throw him for over 40 minutes if they need to.
Let's keep moving. Let's go Pistons at Raptors, the second half of suspension gate. Are there any stretch players that are going to get minutes because of the Detroit suspensions that you like on the overs, or is there another angle you like in this game? Logan, we'll kick it to you first.
Well, right away, somebody's got to get rebounds because they don't have a center right now. It's going to be big ball Paul Reed starting at center, most likely for them. Otherwise, they might run a small ball 5. For me, right out the bat, Ausar Thompson stands out from a rebounding perspective. At 8+ rebounds in 4 of the last 6 games. He's been really aggressive on the glass. The only thing that scares me about Thompson is that when both centers are off the court, he actually really struggles from a rebounding perspective. So it would have to be solely that we expect him to play 25, 30+ minutes today due to rotations. It's actually Tobias Harris that sees an increase in rebounding, but his line is at 5.5, so not something I particularly love. Denise Jenkins, for my people who love betting on role players and two-way guys, he just signed a standard contract with the Detroit Pistons, so you can now bet on him. Thank you, Jonte Porter, for not allowing us to bet on two-way players. I appreciate you a ton. But now we can bet on Denise Jenkins, who should see 20.
Is that 25... a rule with the NBA?
It's so there are sports books now, like some DFS sites and like I think Bet365 and Flith. You can bet on guys that aren't on a full standard contract,
and it's just like, an integrity thing because they're not making enough money, so they're concerned.
Or is it more of a pricing lines? Yeah, because there's a few players I've wanted to bet on all year. Like I've been waiting for Caleb Love lines on the Blazers for forever. You can't bet on Yuki, I believe, either. On some books, I'm not exactly sure what his contract entails, but until they sign a standard contract, most sports books do not post their lines. Even if you're starting, like Denise Jenkins was starting for a couple games and Kate Cunningham was out, and you couldn't bet him. You couldn't bet Jenkins, even though he was playing 35 minutes.
Do you think it's an integrity thing, or it's just they don't have enough data to price it with a level of confidence?
There has to be something when you sign a standard NBA contract where it's like. So, almost like an integrity thing, saying if we find out that you're doing something like a Jonte Porter is, you'll lose all of your money and you'll be going to prison. So there has to be something like that in that standard contract that sportsbooks will not put out those lines from an integrity perspective. That would be my perspective, but I'm not the best person to ask about the legality behind that. I've just noticed that with the NBA.
No, it's super interesting. Mm-hmm. Alex, anything you like in this game?
Yeah, there's one thing I do like. Wiz did mention, but Tobias Harris should have a more secure role. I would say that his rebounding should definitely take an uptick. So the one bet I like, it's on MGM, so it's probably on 365 and books like that. Tobias Harris over 6.5 rebounds, assists for -135. That probably ends up being a 7.5 juice underline if I had to guess. I don't think that's the right number for the situation. Maybe they aren't baking in the ejections, like the suspension enough. But yeah, I would say Tobias over 6.5 RA looks decent. That's a good price for it. Otherwise, like it's Paul Reed day. He's gonna play a lot. I guess I have to check who there. Let me see who else they have. Gosh, that's big. I'm guessing. Let's see here. Is Sarge active today? I guess that could be a question. Yeah, Sarge just changed it a little bit. I'm not sure how much he plays off the trade. Isaac Jones can play a small ball 5, but yeah, Tolo Smith as well. But they're pretty thin there, so yeah, it should be a lot of Paul. If they go small at all, definitely good for Tobias and Asar. We took Asar over 7.5 RA yesterday. And yeah, I don't know. Toronto side is tough. I think that they're a pretty difficult team to bet at this point of the year, given with everyone healthy. They're pretty spread out. Quickly probably has the best matchup, I wanted to say. So if you want anything to do with that, I would go there.
Before we move on, Chalkboard, they got a better number on the Tobias Harris assist rebound. Sponsor the show. Thank you very much. Logan, over to you.
But before we move on from this game, because I know you got a show to run and you want to move on, I would be remiss if I don't at least mention the GOAT, my favorite pronunciation, Sandro Mamukelashvili.
Now you're just showing off, man.
Well, okay. So if anybody doesn't follow my Twitter page, I am the #1 Sandro fan in the world. I this will be my 24th time this season betting on him. I
Wow.
believe.
Is that your high among all players?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean,
Who's number 2?
Probably Andrew Nemhard or Antetokounmpo. I was betting a lot of Antetokounmpo while he was
Thanasis or Giannis?
If they gave me Thanasis lines, I would put my bankroll on the under.
So for Sandro, are you bet of those 24 bets, how many of them are overs versus unders?
I would say 20 are overs and about 4 are unders. A lot of his unders have been from the rebounding perspective. But the biggest reason why I've been betting him is because the books continue to misprice his lines for when Jakob Poeltl is out. His usage is insane without Jakob this year. When Sandro plays without Jakob and Colin Murray-Boyles, he's over this line is 12.5, 5 of 6 games. Without Jakob, it's about the same percentage. If the Pistons are going to be talking about playing Paul Reed, Dario Saric, and etc. at the 5, I kind of like me some Sandro, especially from a 3-point perspective, because they might just be sitting inside the paint. So I need to know 100% that Jakob's not playing, but Sandro's definitely on my radar again. For my followers, expect the Book of Sandro, chapter 24 tonight.
Wow, that's epic. I want to do a little aside here. Alex, do you have a favorite or most bet player this year? Somewhere you feel like you've got an edge reliably over the books? Is there someone who you bet 20 times, 24 times? It's absurd.
Yeah, the guy I put the most news on this year, he actually beat me last game, but Nick Claxton for sure. And I would say it's probably split overs and unders.
Interesting. You're just dialed into him.
We haven't gotten to that game yet, so maybe I'll speak about it a little bit there.
Love it. Good tease.
Yeah, that's probably the guy.
Anybody? This goes out to both our esteemed cappers on the program. People that you are avoiding because they've hurt you. Commonly known as the banned list.
I don't have a ban list. I typically like to get after people until I get them back.
Love that for you.
It depends. I mean, obviously, it's as jokes there, like only situationally. I mean, like recently, I took Ty Jerome unders 4 games in a row, I want to say, and he crucified me. I want to say it was 3 of them, and then I got him back real big last time. It was also like that most aggressively I played it, but yeah, I ate shit on him many times, which will happen. I don't really shy away from that necessarily. So if you guys know how I am about that.
Keep shooting.
So, yeah, I definitely love, I like when people tell me that players, whatever, get me a lot, but in the end, if the read is good, you gotta attack that angle.
Keep shooting. Logan, anybody on your ban list, or are you like Levert over there and just you're trying to get some flesh when you get hurt?
What's funny is it's actually an inside joke on the Cord. There's a person in my Cord named Andrew who has a banned list consisting of about 20, 25 players. Wow. And it goes like Brandon Ingram, Jalen Duren, blank, 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 Jalen Duren, blank, blank, Jalen Duren, because every time he bets on Jalen Duren, he gets into foul trouble, which I completely understand that perspective of not wanting to bet on somebody that you never know is going to get into foul trouble. For me, it's less players and it's teams / situations that it's not necessarily my banned list, but it's like, you know what? I got a blind spot. I think the best example, Lewis, for you going to MLB, the Detroit Tigers last year, their pitching rotation. It was never consistent how long Flaherty, Screwball, whoever was going to be pitching for, and they loved pulling their starters in the 6th inning. So I kept losing bets on it because they'd have 75 pitches, and then at 5 2/3 innings, they pull the guy. So at that point, it was like, all right, you know what? I don't know. I don't have a good read on this team. I'm going to back away. That team for me has been the Los Angeles Lakers. I can never understand when somebody is going to have high volume or not. It seems like Austin Reeves only does well when he has a bad matchup. And whenever he has a phenomenal matchup, he does pour in. Same thing goes for LeBron. You don't know when LeBron is going to show up with energy or whatever. And then Luka can be bad any game. But I've taken Luka unders before at like 50. I took a Luka under one day without Austin Reeves and LeBron, and I think the under was at 54.5 PRA. And I'm just like, you know what? If he gets over 54.5 PRA in an awful matchup, hands up, I will give Luka his props. and he dropped a 40-point triple-double. So
Tip the cap right there. I love
that's
that.
all I did. So there aren't necessarily players, but there's just situations where it's like, you know what? I don't have the best read, so I'm not going to continue to target something that I don't know the best.
The best awareness is self-awareness, and I think that's something that every serious sports bettor learns over time is like, where are you dialed in? Where are you not? And being able to toe that line. While also, Alex, I love what you said about not being recency biased out of good spots just because you went 0 for 3 on the last 3. Doesn't mean it's not a good spot. So,
and that's why betting on Sandro Momokelishvili is better than betting on Luka Doncic. That should be the lesson of the stream, everybody.
Yeah, clip that straight to AI. That's going to be on the Dub Club homepage tonight. Okay, speaking of interesting spots, let's head to the tank off in Brooklyn. The 14-40 fighting, defending Eastern Conference champion Indiana Pacers head to Barclays Center to take on the 15-37 Brooklyn Nets. Not a lot of wins between the two of these teams. 216.5 point total. Man, that's about as low as you see in the NBA these days. Is there anything you guys like in this battle of downtrodden tanking franchises, or are you staying away from this admittedly not super sexy matchup?
Well, I want to ask Alex first because I want to know his strategy in targeting these games. Now, I'm assuming that the Pacers are going to rest everybody coming off a back-to-back overtime game against the Nets. I'm assuming Siakam, Nembhard, Nesmith, McConnell, etc. They're all going to miss this game. It's going to be a pure tankathon game. Alex, how do you target these specific games where both teams are heavily resting stars?
Well, yeah, for one, there's nothing on the Pacers side to bet, considering the fact that everyone listed is going to be out. Siakam and Nembhard are not going to play. If they do, like, I would definitely expect some intriguing minutes. But I assume they're out, so I don't think there's much there. And they only have Huff listed, so again, pretty sure on that. I guess, yeah, I lean into this stuff a lot. I definitely do not play these games like it's normal. In the DFS world, where like you make DraftKings and FanDuel lines, which is one of my other for my personal betting is what I do on pretty much the most. I'm definitely spending most of my time trying to figure out what I think teams are going to do here, and I expect the worst in terms of, I don't look at these things in a positive light in terms of giving people minutes and all that. So like the Nets side actually has some possible, like you can work with the Nets side a little bit here. Sadly, I do think Claxton's out, which sucks because I have a bet for him. But I don't think it's gonna play. But you can play anyway. It was on Chalkboard too, Lewis, just for you.
Look at you, friend of the program.
Yeah, Claxton under 11.5 rebounds, assists should be about even odds, and under 3.5 assists is like 1.59x. That's probably what I would play. Again, like his minutes. This is probably the scariest game of the entire season for them. But unfortunately, with that questionable tag, I'm kind of thinking he's out. But I still think it's worth playing. Because if he does play, it's a great bet. But yeah, besides Claxton, Traor's adjusted now. His role has become really good. His touch count and his passes made. So 72 passes against Orlando. That was with Igor Demonin, and then 63 passes last game, 13 and 18 potentials there, which is like a massive increase. He's the type of player that can do this. Like that's kind of how he can be in previous like parts of his career. So seeing him do it now, just I'm pretty confident that he's the main handler, and that Demon is actually taking a pretty heavy step back. I think that's just the direction that you're going with it. The teams like this, when they show you stuff like that, you kind of got to listen. So yeah, I'd say Trevor's going to play a lot of the handler, but 5.5 is not that attractive. But it's I would expect him to have a big role for sure. He'd be the guy, and then that's the only guy that I would think like that. And then yeah, the rest is kind of a mess.
Logan, do you have a different approach when you're playing these tank offs? Isn't it sad, by the way, that this is what the NBA has come to? Is you're literally just trying to find edge in minutes and usage because it's so unpredictable?
From a NBA fan perspective, it sucks. From a capping perspective, I can tell you right now, my favorite week of the NBA season is not the NBA Finals. It's not All-Star Week. It is the last week of the NBA season, when everyone rests their star players and these two-way guys and young guys see massive increased usage. Shout out Jabari Walker of the Portland Trailblazers for 2 consecutive years that was averaging like a double-double in the last week of the season. I love these games. The last major tank-off that we saw was the Jazz and the Pacers a week or two ago, where Isaiah Collier played 48 minutes and had 22 assists in. I went 6 for 6 in that game on bets because sometimes the books don't adjust for the massive increase in minutes you're going to see from like the minor role players. Like Ace Bailey that game played 40 minutes, had a good PR day. Bryce Sensabaugh played 30, and going into the Pacers, that was a game Jarris Walker had 24 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists in, and took 17 field goal attempts. So if you know what to target in these games, now keep in mind, lines do not open for the Pacers until it is announced on the injury report that all these guys are going to be out. And I don't expect that until like 3 p.m. Eastern time. That's generally when the back-to-back injury reports come out for those teams. So I'm waiting to touch anything this game until then. But I'm telling you right now, Marquette legend Cam Jones, keep an eye on him today. On the year, he has 1 game over 10 PRA. That was in the Tankathon game where he played 36 minutes, 12.6 rebounds, 8 assists. Against the Brooklyn Nets, I could totally see him having a phenomenal game for the Pacers from a usage perspective because I don't expect Jarris Walker to play today. And unfortunately, Johnny Furphy tore his ACL a couple games ago. So the Pacers might only have 8 active players today. So you're going to be targeting guys like Ethan Thompson, Ben Shepherd, Quentin Jackson on Cam Jones. And then quickly on the net side, like Alex said, I absolutely love Nolan today from a PA perspective. So currently sitting at 17.5. That's about the only line that I would take right now. Otherwise, I've seen Danny Wolf just see massive minutes in these types of games. And I love me some Danny Wolf, man. He had his breakout game a couple weeks ago against the Milwaukee Bucks, and that dude can. I didn't know he could shoot like that.
He's a baller.
He's a
Chicago
baller.
kid.
He's amazing.
Let's go straight to Minnesota, where Jabari Walker's old team, the Portland Trailblazers, placing the T-Wolves as 5.5-point dogs. Total sitting at 235.5. Both teams have something to play for. This may be the last game we have to cover because I got to bolt in about 5 minutes. So let's make it count, and maybe we'll do this game in depth, and then give me like best bet for the rest of the slate. Or one spicy take for the rest of the slate. But Mr. Jabari Walker himself, why don't you get us started? Portland at Minnesota. How are you attacking this one?
Immediately, I don't know if I'm going to be betting him, but I'm so excited to see Scoot Henderson not only healthy again, but playing actually really well in back-to-back games. I don't love taking an 18.5 PRA line for somebody that I know is going to be playing 20-ish minutes. But I'm excited to see how he's incorporated into this rotation now, especially with Shaedon Sharpe out. But I really like Denny Advias over 22.5 points in this matchup against the Wolves. The drop coverage of Gobert, he should dominate in. And the Wolves get a little handsy sometimes, and there's no better player that takes advantage of free throws than Denny Advia. So I'm excited to see how he plays today for the Blazers. And then on the Wolves side, I personally loved Anthony Edwards, but he's just got put with the questionable tag with an illness, and all the lines have adjusted, assuming Anthony Edwards is out. So I hate betting these Wolves games that Edwards is out. The only player that I had any interest in would be a Jaden McDaniels, because over the years with Anthony Edwards out, I mean, I can just read you what his averages are in this year. He has 13 plus points in every single game, 10 of 10 games without Edwards, averaging 18.8 points per game. If you go back to last season, he averaged 24.3 points per game without Anthony Edwards. He's the person that benefits the most, in my opinion, especially in this matchup against the Blazers. And if he's guarded by Klingon, he might be able to shoot a lot of threes as well. So also, I want to give some love to AG from the court, who's in the chat right now. AG, I appreciate you being in here, my guy. Thank you.
He hit us with the yo. We got to requite that. We got to get back with that. Alex, anything you like in this one, or should we move straight to best bets for the rest of the slate, which is still, there's like 6 games that we haven't even covered. We're just too in depth.
Yeah, I'll just be quick. So Minnesota side, not much to do here. Edwards unders would be intriguing. but he, like, because of the illness, but he's the type of guy who plays through this stuff normally, and he plays well through it. So I'm not as intrigued, but yeah, I would lean under on Ant at like 28.5 points and 30.5 PRA. But yeah, he's not really a guy that I love targeting for that stuff. And then unders on Klingon, not bad today. Definitely adjusted overnight. 22.5 PR is probably the best way to play it, I want to say. 11 rebounds on prize picks is okay. Maybe 11.5, even 11.5 points is, I still lean under on that. He's going to have to rely on a 3-ball against Gobert, and that's not something you want for Klingon. He'll be facing drop, but he is definitely better in the good interior matchups. He's been beating up on Memphis. 2 straight perfect matchups for him. Sixers were a decent matchup with Drummond. He played drop. Klingon scored a lot from deep. Not going to have that today, so I'm kind of inclined that his lines are a little high, but they're adjusted enough where I would just call it a lean. But Klingon unders are decent for me.
Can I ask you, Alex, really quickly? Is your Edwards under read based on the illness or the matchup?
It would be based on illness, but it's not something that. I mean, he also gets Kamara the entire game, so not ideal. It should be a single coverage. So again, not. I would say neutral matchup for Ant. I would only take the under if I thought the illness was severe enough.
And then I do want to mention that Bilal Coulibaly is active today, which I did not see coming for the Wizards. So because of that, I'm all in on your Harden under 21.5 points. I think that's actually a phenomenal read now with Coulibaly active.
Love it. We're circling back. Now let's look forward. I don't want to talk about leans. I want favorite spot for the last 6 games. This is really the West Coast and the Central Time Zone being represented. I know I'm putting you on the spot. Is there anything that we are not going to have time to cover in depth from a game perspective, but there's a spot where you guys really love and want to get the stream involved in that matchup?
Absolutely. Go to OKC with Phoenix. We have climbed the ladder back-to-back games with Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, his RA has bumped to 12.5. We had been betting it at 11.5, but his assists are still pretty decently priced. 4.5 is on Novig. Use code WizBets Novig.
There you go. Second plug, huh?
Or code Dove Club. Otherwise on Chalkboard, it's also a phenomenal price right now for Hartenstein, either 4+ or 5+ assists. His RA is phenomenal at 12.5 right now. His potentials have been great. He's basically covering this line in the first half in back-to-back games. Really, really, really like Hartenstein against Phoenix. That's right, AG. We're climbing the heart ladder, baby. Once again.
Love it. How do you think about when you're like really hot? The numbers are starting to move, specific market, specific player. Do you make them make you wrong, or you're just reevaluating from square zero every day?
Square zero every single day. If they continue to give me the line that's around there, I'm like, okay, why are they giving me that line again?
Yeah, what do they know?
I think a lot of people are thinking that with Harden. Like, okay, he crushes the 7.5 assist line. Why are they giving it to me again? So that means you got to really like dive deep and figure out, okay, why were the books open with this line? Is it actually a mistake in my opinion, or is there something they're seeing that I'm not seeing? So it's really tough to just blindly bet something again. For me with Hartenstein, I looked into his history against Mark Williams, and I watched some game film on him before taking the ladder for the 3rd straight time, because this system is based off of SGA being out and him being the facilitator of the offense. What I found is just he crushes Mark Williams, especially from a handoff perspective. And with Jalen Williams back, I could see Jalen scoring a lot of handoff shots from Hartenstein as well. So I like the read still in this game.
Love it. Alex, anything in the West Coast games or Central Time Zone games that we didn't cover that's jumping off the page to you?
Yeah, I don't have one that's specifically jumping, so I'll just give 2 that look interesting to me.
Love it. More than we bargained for.
Yeah, so one of them would be Dylan Brooks, under 20.5 points. And then that one is a little more questionable because the injury report isn't out yet. And then the one I like a little more, it's going to be Ty Jerome under, I would say, 16.5 or 20.5 PA, and then probably a little better is 23.5 PRA. Still expecting the limit to be on him. And I'm also expecting, with Coward out, one of the point guards to start in the first game with him. So I would say, even though we have no Cedric today and we have no Walter Clayton, it's still likely that Jerome shares the court with another point guard, which His touch count and his assist rate has not been great with that. Last game was pretty lucky for him for the assists. So yeah, kind of expecting him to struggle with that. So yeah, I would say 4.5 assists, 20.5 PA, 23.5 PRA under for Jerome. Probably would be the favorite bet we haven't talked about yet. But that's all I got.
What an incredible showing from two of the sharpest minds in the space. Let me hype you guys up one more time before we ready break to go indulge and actually watch the game. Let's start with WizBets. Incredibly generous offer, 60% off weekly and monthly packages using code ASG26. Link is in the replies. He's 35 and 15 in February, dialed in, and he loves these Tankathon games, of which we got one today, and there will be plenty more coming out of the All-Star break. And then the DFS Dojo, again, 60% off packages using ASB, as in boy, 26. 141 units of profit in 2025, 12.5 units of profit in January 2026. Link is in the replies. And thank you again to our sponsor, Chalkboard. Football's over, but there's plenty to sink your teeth into in the NBA. MLB's around the corner. College hoops is starting to get real interesting. Sign up for Chalkboard. New users get 100% deposit match plus a free square with code DUBCLUB. Gents, this was better than advertised. You guys are rock stars. I feel smarter. This is a guy who doesn't really bet the NBA much, but now I'm like, first of all, I don't know half these names, and the fact that you guys know them backwards and forwards, what they had for breakfast, what their workout was yesterday, is extremely impressive and another testament to why the value of your Dub Club subscriptions is so great. Before I keep hyping you up, give maybe a parting thought to listeners at home, people who have been having fun, maybe getting beat up a little bit in the first half of the NBA season. One point of focus or part of your pitch as to how you can help them stack some units in the second half of the season.
Well, on my side, I would say I want to thank everybody that I see a bunch of people in here that either follow me or in my Discord. I appreciate you guys a ton. I have a show that I do in my Discord for free every weekday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. If anybody ever has any questions NBA related, join the Cord. It doesn't cost anything to be there, interact with me. I do live streams like we're doing today every single day. And I would just say, watch the games. What I will forever say to anybody that bets on sports is I have discovered in my capping career that more people look at graphs and just bet and then look on Reel to see the stats instead of actually enjoying the games. Now, betting the games is fun for money. I understand that. But part of betting is to actually have an incentive to watch the sporting events, and you can actually learn so much watching the games. So the only thing I would say, especially now with the All-Star break coming up, there's going to be discounts for NBA TV. Watch basketball. It is so entertaining if you have bets on, and if you're watching for these role players that like I enjoy. So that'd be the one thing that I would vouch for. And I just want to thank everybody that pulled up that at least follows me. I appreciate Lewis. Lewis has done so much for the WizBets page and my career. So I wanted to give some love to him and not only Dub Club for supporting me over the last year.
Hell yeah. What a journey. 1 year anniversary. I'm flying up to Milwaukee. We're going to have a party.
Hell yeah.
Great response. Alex, give us something to look forward to or a second half resolution for the listeners at home.
I mean, for people listening that feel a little like just kind of, there's a lot happening in the NBA. If you're betting it without being very in tune with it, it's going to be tough. I would say the best thing you can do if you're tailing people is like have the notifications on for injuries. At least stay in tune with what's going on there, because you're going to place bets in the morning that are not going to be good at night and you'll have no idea. It's probably good to stay, in tune with that. I think it's a mistake that people make a lot. They kind of just don't pay attention to what's going on there. And cappers they're not able to give you everything. They can't, it's not a constant stream of information all the time. So stay keen on that. And then I guess I do want to make a comment to Lewis. So I have your official Chalkboard stream play of the day. You need to lock this one in. Ty Jerome under 4.5 assists is 1.91x. That price is pretty good on Chalkboard. So I'm gonna type that in the chat just so you don't forget it.
Oh, amazing. That's why you're the greatest of all time.
Trademark it today. Ty Jerome under 4.5 assists, 1.91x. That'll be my Chalkboard sponsored play of the day, even though I'm not, paid to do that sponsor right now. I'm just calling it that for you.
Love it. We'll call it. We'll pray for our friends at Chalkboard that not too many.
They're going to lose some money on that one.
It's going to be a tough day at the office over at Chalkboard HQ. Part of doing business. Well, this was an absolute blast. You guys are the absolute best. Maybe we should just hang for like 60 more seconds just so we get over 1,000 listeners, because we're at 998 right now. But hell of a showing. Thanks to the chat for staying so active. This was a blast. We definitely got to get this crew back together because you guys know ball. And this was very educational and illuminating for us all, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, if we do this again, I would love to get my boys involved, because I see a bunch of them today. Almost 1,000 viewers for people listening to NBA props at 10 a.m., 11 a.m. in the morning. I know some of you guys are on California and Pacific time as well. So for me, Lewis, and Alex, I appreciate everybody who is watching today. It encourages not only Dub Club, but all of us to do this content more often. So appreciate you guys.
Bravo. Well done. Let's go make some money this afternoon, gentlemen.
We'll do.
Yeah, appreciate it, Lewis.